Some say silence is the sound of peace, but in the last 24 hours, the Trump administration and Trump himself made sure silence had no place in Washington. Remember Dark Brandon? Well, that's nothing compared to what President Trump has now done. Behind all the blaring headlines and political theater, something darker just moved. Executive decisions dropped like hammers, alliances shifted, and then a warning. A cryptic, spine-chilling warning from Trump and then from his administration. He didn't name it. He didn't explain it. But he called it something new, something unknown, and something coming. What is it? Right at the beginning of this Easter weekend, no one knows. But we're about to break down the full 24-hour political storm. All major political moves in a mystery that has everyone guessing. And a few very terrified. Welcome to Justus Knight. Welcome to Restricted Republic. Sit down. Hold on. Because this one's absolutely going to shell shock you. Come on now, that was one hell of an intro, wasn't it? Man, you wake up early in the morning to get that out, but I am excited to bring you what we're about to cover. So sit back, like I said, hold on. There's a lot of moving parts right now, including this, protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship, the argument over birthright citizenship. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. And it is now finally going to be heard by the Supreme Court. All the lower court rulings against Trump order in pending cases. The applications are set for oral argument at 10 a.m. on Thursday, May 15th, 2025. We are in for a showdown on the argument on birthright citizenship. What was Trump's reaction?
Yes, a short time ago, the Supreme Court agreed to hear oral arguments in the case about ending birthright citizenship. How confident are you that the court will rule in your favor and allow that order to end birthright citizenship to go forward?
Well, you're just telling me that for the first time. I am so happy. I think the case has been so misunderstood. That case, birthright citizenship, is about slavery. If you look at the details of it, the signings of it, everything else, that case is all about slavery. And if you view it from that standpoint, people understand it. But for some reason, lawyers don't talk about it. The news doesn't talk about it. That's not about tourists coming in and touching a piece of sand and all of a sudden they're a citizenship. They're a citizen. That is all about slavery.
And so we are now staged for the showdown, the interpretation of what it all means, but one of many stories, the brewing battle between Trump and Chairman Powell, the rumors of the Wall Street Journal that for months he's privately discussing the firing have now become a lot more public.
Jerome Powell, you said that the termination of Jerome Powell cannot come fast enough. He says he won't leave even if you ask him to.
Oh, he'll leave. If I ask him to, he'll be out of there. But I don't think he's doing the job.
Of course, never enough for the left, though, because who comes out shortly thereafter when asked if Trump can fire Powell?
Just as a reminder, so Congress gives the Fed the authority. Can the president terminate, not that he said he's going to do this, but can he terminate Powell's chairmanship earlier than his ended term?
No.
That's about all I want to hear from Elizabeth Warren, who also didn't like Powell very much, has contested him many times, but now suddenly when Trump contests him, Elizabeth Warren's going to defend him. Should be no shock, but Trump didn't stop with his war of words on Powell.
So prices haven't gone up. The only thing that's gone up actually is interest rates, because we have a Federal Reserve Chairman that is playing politics. somebody that I've never been very fond of, actually. But he's playing politics. Interest rates should be down now.
But they're not. And so now what will happen? The story continues to develop as this story has continued to develop. You remember me covering for you the many Pentagon insiders that suddenly were walked off by security. Well, we come to find out a little bit more details on this. New York Times, Trump waved off Israeli strike after divisions emerged in his administration. The New York Times reports Pete Hegseth was among Trump officials opposing the U.S. launching a massive war on Iran. Obviously, there was some war hawks in the room who didn't agree. And then suddenly you have 3 Pentagon officials fired, walked off, pending further investigation. These stories take shape. Sometimes you just got to let the news cycle move forward and more intelligence come out, just like what I've been reporting to you since the beginning of President Trump's term, that this was all about China. Everything he's doing outside of domestic politics involves the isolation of China. Public enemy number one. The Wall Street Journal, U.S. plans to use tariff negotiations to isolate China. Thanks for catching up, guys. It only took you a few months. I'm so glad that it takes you that long for very simple facts, because Trump has said this himself, and it's an ultra smart move to anchor the entire world against China. And how are they doing that? Well, by saying we'd be happy to reduce your tariff rate. However, we want to make sure that you aren't in bed with China before we do. So those tariff reductions on our part, well, those better not translate to a growing relationship with China in any way, shape, or form. How do we know that? Because President Trump has told us multiple times. Trump gives ultimatum to Latin America. Choose between the USA and China. When asked that question, should they? Trump says they should do that. The Panama Canal and Greenland. And the story develops as Trump takes more aggressive moves against China. This story will continue forward. I will continue to bring it to you. But of course, I have to bring you the story of this guy. And the story I also covered just the other day with this statement from Taylor Lorenz.
Especially that feel like, oh my God, right? Like, here's this man who's revolutionary, who's famous, who's handsome, who's young, who's smart. He's a person that seems this morally good man.
Who's charged. And now, even further information, this morally good man, Luigi Mangione, indicted on federal charges for CEO killing of interstate stalking resulting in death, use of a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence resulting in death, conspiracy to commit murder, and murder of a federal witness. Yes, that guy she was gushing over. But Sean Hannity, well, he has his day in court with Taylor Lorenz and demolishes her. And I'm going to bring you that clip here in just 1 minute. Before I do, and before I bring you the headline story, I need a favor. I want to make sure, if you think you're subscribed to the channel, please double check for me. Yes, we tell you this every day, and there's a reason. It's called working to assure that you still know when I actually put up a broadcast. And to do that, there's a bell next to your subscribe button. Make sure it's checked to all, or else you won't be alerted to upcoming broadcasts. Those of you who've joined as members here, thank you. The family continues to grow, and the family is exploding over at Restricted Republic, because people have finally come to realize exactly what we do there. No commercials, no interruptions, monthly, annual memberships, cancel before you renew, no harm, no foul. We're there to hold you there with our news, with our information, and with our research. There's exclusive content daily that Lisa and I work day and night to provide information you can't find anywhere else, because of course we're going to put a lot of it at our own platform, where we take every broadcast we do on every channel and every network and post it under one house, the House of RestrictedRepublic.com. We need you there today, please. It's your ultimate means of supporting me and Lisa's efforts to bring you the facts in black and white, the facts you deserve, the facts that you aren't given by mainstream media. But now let's get back to that Sean Hannity clip real quick.
Praising, calling handsome, smart, intelligence, being joyful over the death and assassination of innocent people. And that's what your comments did. Your comments basically put your seal of approval on murder and assassination. And I'm trying to understand what is in your soul that doesn't understand he's a father and a husband here. What are you missing? There seems to be a missing chip with you.
And if you noted, I didn't allow her to respond because I don't need her response. She's already put her message online to everyone. And Sean Hannity was absolutely correct through a question to demolish her. Because this is never acceptable. It's not normalcy. There is no normalcy. And sometimes it's glaringly easy to see. And we're going to get to the other story, the Garcia update. But things are always glaring and easy to see. As we reported to you also, the Wall Street Journal update in this case. Inside Mark Zuckerberg's failed negotiation to end his antitrust case. Told you when he went up and buddied up to Trump and he goes and donates all that money to his campaign, there was a reason behind it because he was trying to negotiate a settlement behind the scenes. Meta offered $450 million to settle the antitrust case, far less than the FTC's $30 billion demand. So how did he intend on doing it? Well, I'll just buddy up with Trump. I'll lobby him and he'll give me everything I want, but Trump didn't give him everything he wants, and rightfully so, because Trump better never forget what that man has done to conservative voices, Mark Zuckerberg himself. None of us would ever have forgiven any move towards settling this other than what the demand has been given by the FTC, period, end of story. Now, a more controversial story brewing up. Trump announces free flights, possible stipends for self-deportees. Now think about this. There's an expense to illegal immigration to you and to me as taxpayers. If we can offset that expense by a reduced expense and in the same token have people self-deport so it won't matter in court anymore, I'm not necessarily against the idea. That could be controversial in itself, and I look forward to your feedback because what Trump is proposing is fairly simple. The federal government will facilitate and pay for self-deportation of those who have entered the country illegally. While operations will continue to target gang members and violent criminals, they are not part of this. President Trump told Fox News in an interview filmed at the White House on April 15th, the president says the stipends, including plane tickets and money, could help incentivize illegal immigrants to leave and pursue legal status. We are going to make it comfortable for people, and we're going to work with those people to come back into our country legally. And then if they're good, if they want back in, we're going to work with them to get them back in as quickly as we can. So reducing expense doesn't mean expense goes away completely, but assuring that this could stay out of the courts by providing a stipend or a plane ticket so that they self-deport and then reapply for legal status. Makes sense to me. Kind of common sense, because that expense needs to go down and illegal immigration needs to be controlled once and for all. So I want to give you a different spin on that story because people will take it a lot of different directions. But then we have another ruling in the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, but we also have major breaking news in this story too. If you didn't catch it, we've been covering it for 3 or 4 days now at least. It's difficult, the ruling stated, in some cases to get to the very heart of the matter. But in this case, it is not hard at all, the judge stated. The government is asserting a right to stash away residents of this country in foreign prisons without the semblance of due process. That is the foundation of our constitutional order. Oh no, the court system has destroyed the foundation of our constitutional order, but I digress. What did they key in on? Facilitation, of course. The Supreme Court saying you need to facilitate the return of Garcia to the United States. The Trump administration contesting that, but they lose again in court, even though they tried to make some delineation between the judicial and executive branch. It means nothing, really. In sum, and for the reasons foregoing, we deny the motion for a stay pending appeal. But hold on a minute, because if any shred of you believe for a moment, or you didn't stand with President Trump on this, well, now Hillary Clinton, well, before the election, I warned that there is no safe haven under authoritarianism. If they can ship Kilmar Garcia to a foreign prison accused of no crime with no trial. They can do it to anyone, and that will be the Democrats' talking point for the next election cycle. If you didn't stand for Kilmar Garcia, if you believed he was MS-13 or not, and you didn't stand against it, well then you're opening the door for them to start deporting legal American citizens. That's going to be their argument because it is now surfacing everywhere. And Hillary Clinton has called out to say Americans of conscience must stand against this now. So if there was any shredded doubt in your mind that you need to stand with President Trump, well, once Hillary Clinton stands on the opposite side, you know you're on the right side if you're looking over at her. Couldn't believe. Why do we even need to hear from her anymore? But there was more breaking news in this story, right? Maryland sheriff, well, let him talk for himself.
Did that case, right? You've looked at the evidence. Are you convinced, as the White House says, that he's an MS-13 member?
Oh, 1,000%. Yes, indeed. 1,000%.
Yeah, that doesn't matter though, right? That's hearsay, Maryland police. It's hearsay. Allegedly, the Kilmar Garcia has a history of violence. This was not upstanding Maryland man as they're portraying. According to court filing, as I covered for you yesterday exclusively on Restricted Republic, Garcia's wife sought a domestic violence restraining order against him, but I guess that doesn't matter either, right? Or the fact of the police filing I showed you yesterday coming out of Maryland that clearly states he was hanging around when they busted these four individuals with known MS-13 members. And if you know, if some of you should never know this, but MS-13 members aren't going to hang around with people who aren't MS-13 members in a parking lot where it say Garcia was observed wearing a Chicago Bulls hat and hoodie with rolls of money covering their eyes, ears, and mouth of the president on separate denominations, and the officers knew such clothing to be indicative of Hispanic gang culture. But let's push that filing aside also. Let's push the lower court rulings filings aside from many, many years ago where they also stated the same. And let's just move forward a little further, shall we? Biden's FBI ordered Tennessee Highway Patrol to release the same Maryland man recently deported to El Salvador after he was detained in 2022 traffic stop on suspicion of human trafficking. Suspicion being the key word. I don't know how many more wrong places this one man could tend to find himself in, but when there's an overabundance of evidence all pointing in the same direction, just ask yourself that question. How many times have you been spotted with MS-13? Well, I guess Garcia may just have a really unlucky track record of always being at the wrong place at the wrong time, huh? Well, if you listen to some Americans, you'd see that he's raised $230,000. And how is that money being raised? Well, it's being supported by the Democrats. One in particular would be Senator Van Hollen, the man who was refused to go see him, but eventually now, for whatever reason, oh wait, I do know the reason, because somebody trolled him. I'll show you. I said my main goal of the trip was to meet with Kilmar. Tonight I had the chance. I have called his wife Jennifer to pass along his message of love. I look forward to providing a full update upon my return. You see, this will be their sound bites. Look at the loving and adoring look on the senator's face. It's disturbing in every way, shape, and form, but the president of El Salvador starts to troll, and now you see why he allowed it. Kilmar Garcia, miraculously risen from the death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the tropical paradise of El Salvador. And don't think that Bukele and Trump didn't discuss this ahead of time, because this is showmanship 101. This is trolling 101. Now that he's been back from the president of El Salvador again, now that he's been confirmed healthy, he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody. Many calling out now, El Salvador's president is trolling the heck out of the Democrats, and they love this dude. And honestly, with his post, I'm kind of in the same boat right now, because this man is cooperating with Trump in the way we need to see.
From the United States.
Because this is no joke. Sorry about that. Hit the wrong button. But now let's get on to more serious news. We still have this war going on between Russia and Ukraine. Well, it appears now that Trump and Rubio are growing impatient, and now the end is near. Rubio says U.S. ready to move on within days if no progress made on Russia-Ukraine peace deal. If it's not going to happen, then we're just going to move on. And where does that leave Zelensky? Well, that's right. He's going to have to rely on the UK and France to defend him and provide more weaponry because we're not doing it anymore. And Russia knows that. But Trump always has that ace in his pocket, doesn't he? And I think an announcement that just recently came out goes to indicate what that ace in the pocket may be. Just a few days ago, April 10th, you probably heard this announcement in the White House. If you didn't, I'll play it for you here real quick.
And it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close. So nobody's going to do that. But I think that if that's what you're referring to, maybe it's not. But just
Wait now. We have a secret weapon that Trump's referring to. Now, if you've followed President Trump for a long time, you know this isn't the first time he's talked of this. And hence why you're on this channel, because I'll give you the background and the history. Because I have an encyclopedia of talking points that Trump has given and interviews. Because you always have to follow him. He's very consistent in most matters. Sometimes he can be inconsistent, but not too often. Trump's talk of new secret weapon fits a pattern of puzzles, but this was published in 2020 on Politico. And in this article by the AP, Kim Jong-un told Trump about killing his uncle, but there was something else in that article. The mystery weapon portion of the article. But this story takes a whole weird twist here in just a second. I have built a weapon system that nobody ever had in this country before. We have stuff that you haven't seen or heard about. We have stuff that Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping have never heard of before. There's nobody. What we have is incredible. Woodward writes that sources who spoke to him on conditions of anonymity confirmed that the U.S. military had a secret new weapons system. Okay. A lot of rumors, maybe some conjecture in there, maybe just a, threat to scare everyone. Well, that wasn't until this came out. A clip that not many have seen because it just came out a day or so ago. From the director of White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. And I want you to hear what he says because it's nothing that anyone expected. Trump being very confidential, close to the vest, he has to be. He also has to have the fear, I won't say it, the fear of God in our enemies to make sure that they don't retaliate against the move he's making. So interpret this how you want. But I want you to hear the information, and I want you to put in the comments what you think Trump, and now the director of White House Office of Science and Technology, is doing, or do they truly have, in this Easter warning just coming into the holidays, stuns the Oval Office. Reporters were like, did he just say that again? Well, wait till they hear this.
We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow and improve productivity.
I know. You did hear that, right? I'm sure I could go to the subtext underneath. We have technologies that are capable of so much more, of altering. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. Now, wait a minute here. Was that really said out loud? I've often contested, and as you would imagine, there are technologies that no one has discussed. Now, if you put that in focus, which was brewing up just at the end of the Biden administration, suddenly all these drones flying around, all this tech that nobody really understood. Nobody has any idea what it is what Trump stated. And then the Office of Science and Technology comes out and says we have the ability to alter time and space, to annihilate the distance. Folks, I've heard a lot of statements from government officials in my life, and that one was one of the most cryptic threats I believe I've heard in recent history. So did Trump just give the ultimate Easter egg? For those of you that are video gamers, you know what that means. Something put within a game that the developer wanted you to find. But it's not in the main game board now, is it? No, it's that piece hidden far away. A gift to the world Trump just gave. The gift of fear. Because that is the most powerful weapon. Man, I love you all. Hope you enjoyed it. Can't wait to see your comments. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.